And our very special guest, I gather, is on the line. Yes, good morning, MP Robert Montague. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Darby. Morning to your listeners and viewers. I must say that I'm giving thanks. I'm alive. I'm well. I'm in Jamaica, and I'm speaking to the premier radio show in the Western Hemisphere.
Lord have mercy. What a good thing my head can't get bigger because this called so blinking thick. It will not get any bigger. Anyhow, when I sent out messages, that you were coming on, all I got back from a few persons was that Vernon, a long time we don't hear from him, man. We're supposed to hear from him, but we love him and all them something there. And you probably don't realize it. Persons don't remember, don't recall, only see you as someone who has been a minister of government, an MP, councillor. They see you as someone who's very, what I said, likable, very humorous. So I think many of my listeners are quite happy. And who is this man, Robert Montague? He currently serves as a member of parliament for St. Mary Western, having first been elected in 2016. And
Remember, in 2007, I was the Minister of State with responsibility for local government in the office of the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister Golden.
Right.
Prime Minister. And I served there until July 2011 when I was transferred to the Ministry of Agriculture.
You see, if I had relied on what I know, for example, that I know you're a farm school man. What do I call
College of Agriculture. So college farm school was long before your time.
You know why I call it farm school? Because my daddy went there.
That is correct. That time it was farm school. It then became the Jamaica School of Agriculture. Then it transitioned to the College of Agriculture, and now it is the College of Agriculture, Science and Education, CASE.
Yes, so it's broadened right now.
Yes, it has, the history is some 114 years of tertiary agricultural education in Jamaica.
Really?
And it has also, affected the region because a lot of the agriculturalists out of the Caribbean do study with us. Matter of fact, during my batch, the pioneer batch for the College of Agriculture, I think we had about 4 or 5 persons from the Caribbean and 1 gentleman from Africa.
Since you mentioned that, I know that UTech and university too. So even at the high school level, we used to have students from all over. When I went to Knox, you had students from Mexico and other countries in South America also, Canada and the United States. I'm wondering why that is not happening. Although it probably is happening, but not to the extent that it used to happen in those days. Do you have an idea what's happening?
I don't know.
Yes.
Jamaica's had a reputation of quality secondary and tertiary education, and we do still at the tertiary level have a large contingent of overseas persons, especially Caribbean persons. And also, as a country, we have always assisted in the past with countries who are going through their own national struggles. I know in Zimbabwe and Southern Africa. Jamaica gave scholarships to a number of persons to come here and study. So we have always been a forefront using education as a means of liberation for people. And Jamaica has never been shy, over the years to stand up for the oppressed persons and to use education as a ladder for them to attain their national aspirations.
But Mr. Montague, you just said something a while ago. That's why, I'm glad you're on air. And I'm sure many young Jamaicans, they don't even know that Jamaica has turned around. We have left Africa. We were dragged away from there. But that we have helped. I must tell you, I remember some years ago when I went to South Africa, I was given VIP treatment because of that passport. Not many persons realize that we did all of that. As a matter of fact, when you think of South Africa, Jamaica played an important role in terms of bringing the concerns of the black Africans to the world.
Yes, and we have also not only to Africa, but within the Commonwealth, Jamaica has always offered scholarships and opportunities for study, whether the arts, whether in academia, trade unionism, politics. We have always opened our arms to people because Jamaica is not an insular place, although you have some persons who will say you should not be doing this, you should be concentrating on your own. But although we are an island in the sea, We're not an island when it comes on to human relations, and we have to extend the hand of friendship to others, and because others have always extended the hand of friendship to ours, and it cannot be a one-way street.
You know, it's a very important thing that we need to think of, you know, that Jamaicans, so what you said a while ago, we're an island in the sea, and also we might be in the sea, but we're not at sea.
That is indeed correct. That is indeed correct. For example, when you go to South Korea, they will tell you that in the 60s, Jamaica stood by them and actually gave them a loan to help them, and they have never, ever...
Mr. Montague, you're talking rubbish, sir.
No, sir, you go and check. When I went to Korea, when I was at the Ministry of Agriculture to check on this whole lamp for get funding.
Yes.
The cycling program for lamp, because I had responsibility for lamp, and they assisted us through the Korean cadastral surveying company. That was when they told us that they are committed to Jamaica, because when nobody remembered them when they were in the backwoods, it was a loan from Jamaica that really helped them to turn them around. So they have never forgotten it, but in many ways Jamaica does not pull on these ties.
Yes.
You know, for one-upmanship. We don't wear Jamaica. One of the things with us as Jamaicans, we don't wear these things on our shoulders.
But Mr.
We don't beat our chest about.
It's not a matter of beat your chest, you know, but I think Jamaicans need to know that we need to care. And don't forget, when I went through Gilbert, you know, I used to wonder why all these countries coming to assist us. But what you're telling me, but even our persons who have left to Jamaica, we are leading in countries like the United States. We have had somebody who's a minister of government, I think, in Canada, all over the world. And I think with all the challenges that we are having, Mr. Montague, listen, I call it to talk about other things now, but you switch things on me, but Mr. I'm going to stick on that highway for a little while until I go for the break. Because you're giving us information that as a country we need to be proud of.
And we are, you know, but remember the good book, I believe it is in Matthew, I'm not sure, your listeners who are more familiar with the Bible can guide me.
Yes.
But I believe in the Gospels it simply say that you don't watch those who stand by the wayside and pray and make a big show of it. They have already gotten their reward. If you're really seeking assistance and help and really want to, you go into your bedchamber and quietly intercede with the Father. You don't have to advertise what the good you do. Mm-hmm. Some people take pleasure out of advertising the good they do rather than just doing it because it comes from the heart without trying to get publicity. So I think Jamaica over the years, as that has been our philosophy, Jamaica has assisted many countries. Even I must point to you that when we had a ceremony once to induct new citizens, we started it during my time at National.
Right, I remember that one.
Citizens. A lot of persons were surprised that persons were actually lining up to become
citizens.
Because they always felt that everybody in Jamaica was running away from Jamaica and nobody was running to us. But every year, anywhere between 300 to 400 persons apply to be citizens of Jamaica.
What a thing. I'm going to go for the break, and of course, listeners, you'll be talking about, you know, he's pushing something, and not only he, all his members of his constituency and Jamaicans are jumping on board because they want to make an outstanding Jamaican international hero. So we're going to be talking about that too. But Mr. Montague is giving us some very valuable information. And then when we come back, he has to tell us about we cuss our politics and the political system. But he hasn't had time, but he probably can tell us about how we have helped other countries to set up or to even to observe and to give ideas about their own political system, I think, in Africa. So stay with us. Going to go for the break. When we come back, we continue to speak with Robert Montague. One of the rare times he comes on radio. I wish he would come more because now he's sounding like a historian. Educating us, so really value his contribution today. Vernon, I'll be saying to you, soon come back. Don't move. Welcome back. You're listening to Rhythm FM, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. We're talking to Mr. Robert Montague, and he's really been giving us quite a bit of information. He is the Member of Parliament for St. Mary Western. Yes, I had mentioned the fact that Jamaica has been quite helpful in other countries in terms of developing a political system, because with all the challenges that we think we have here, the Electoral Commission and so on, how we have both parties sitting on that committee, although I think we should have a wider committee, but that's another matter. But we have helped other countries.
Yes, indeed, we have. I mean, and not only at the Electoral Commission, we have helped other countries to work through the issues they have with their own electoral system.
Right.
We have had persons even in the mining industry, the Jamaica Bauxite Institute, helping other countries with research, sharing our research with them in terms of mining and how to treat with Redmond Lake, the Redmond effluent. So we have had this history of a trade union movement. We have gone into other countries. We have helped. We have sent our persons to look at other countries' systems. Our medical persons, our legal persons, have been all over the world helping. I was in Fiji a couple of years ago and walked into an office, and there was a Jamaican retired judge helping them to draft laws in the Fijian parliament. So Jamaica has really opened its arms and extended herself to persons. We have to work very, very closely with our Haitian brothers and sisters.
Oh, yes.
We have always been a place of refuge. We have always facilitated discussions and talks. We have helped with the development of Haiti in so many ways. Can call Jamaica Broilers had a very, very active chicken poultry program there. Just like how they started with the mother farm concept and contract farmers, it was introduced. The expansion of Digicel into Haiti,
right,
building out that network basically by Jamaicans. Our police, our military, in so many ways we have assisted other countries. We, as a country, we are very, very proud and ought to continue to keep the flag flying very, very high, because our flag is very distinctive. It is the only flag in the world that does not have red, blue, or white. All countries have those.
Yes, Jamaica. That must be by accident. No, it's just amazing. Really amazing. Oh, I think we have lost. We have lost the MP. I think we have to try and get back the MP. We have lost him, so we need to get him back. It's just now 11:27. We're speaking with MP Robertson, and he was telling us about how Jamaica has been working with other countries and playing its part. And therefore, that is why we can't be so insulated. We've been helping in everything, in sports, at the intellectual level. You know, I think of Professor Morrison, I think of Mr. Lecky in agriculture, and the list goes on. And Jamaicans can be found all over the world playing our part. And that is why, as I said before, we can't be insular about this, about how we function as a country. It's one world. And even with what is happening in Ukraine, I know some persons want us to be insular about that, but there are people, and there are people just like ourselves. So, Mr. Montague is listening to us. We are trying to get back to you, sir. So, just stay with us.
I Glasgow find something and come up at the corner before something do you. Oh yes, go find something and come up at the corner before something do you. You come here every morning and you sit down on the corner. People now look, you go teach them banana. You come here every morning and you sit down on the corner. People now look, you go teach them ganja. What a thing. Leave people same thing. Stop teach them. Yes, what a thing, yeah. Leave people same thing. Stop teach them shit. What a thing. Leave people same thing. Yes, what a thing. Leave people things alone. Go work and buy your own. Yes, what a thing. Leave people things alone. Go work and buy your own. So I Glasgow find something and come off at the corner. Find yourself a job and stop planning how to rob. Yes, go find something and come off at the corner. Two little bad boys sat up on the wall. One named Peter and one named Paul. Police kill Peter and soldier kill Paul. And All of a sudden, them mama start ball. Oh, it didn't kill me one son.
All right, let's see if we have Mr. Montague back online. Mr. Montague?
Yes, sir. I'm very much here.
I'm hearing a terrible feedback. Yeah, okay. That's good. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Technology sometimes. I love technology, but technology fails sometimes.
Well, as the Prime Minister would say, nobody's going to break our stride.
Yes. And listen, I just tell you as is. You have come on this program this morning. I think I've lost you again. I have to lost him again. So we have to try and get him back. Oh boy, we have lost Mr. Montague. We're going to try and get him back again. So you continue to stay with us.
Them pajama, what happened? Leave people sitting. Stop thief them. Yes, what a thing. Leave people sitting. Stop thief them. Yes, what a thing. Yeah. Leave people sitting. This what a thing. Work on by your own. Yes. Leave people things alone. Yes, what a thing. Leave people sinking. Find yourself a job and stop planning to rob. By the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. That is what the good book says. So find yourself a job. Oh yes. Go work and buy your own and leave people things alone. So go find some dough and come off at the corner before so.
Oh yes, I think we have him back online again. You're back with us, sir. Mr. Montague? Mr. Montague? We definitely have to try and get that thing out. Let me see if we get...
Hello?
Yeah, now we have you back online.
Yes, Mr. Darby.
Yes. But you don't give up easily, I don't give up either, so... So,
yes.
Right. So, probably we can move on and talk about your move. There are other things we can talk about. Okay, we haven't even touched your constituency yet. But we can talk about this move to get one of our heroes. Is regarded as a hero by many, Taki. But you have, pushing for the idea for him to be made a national hero. I'm sure you're going to get some pushback. Some are going to say we have enough heroes already. Does it matter if we have enough or we can have 200? As a matter of fact, if all of us were heroes, they would have a great country.
Well, Mr. Darby, I am but a conduit. I am but a servant. And the people of Western St. Mary are united as one. Mm-hmm. Because the contribution that Chief Taki has made to the development of Jamaica and the world cannot be challenged. Cannot be challenged. And indeed, this was a gentleman, research has now shown, that he's from a royal household in Ghana.
Okay.
From the 1700, I think, from 1698, there was a series of civil wars within that kingdom. Mm-hmm. And one set of the family was backed by the British, another set was backed by the Dutch.
My God.
One European nation went into ascendancy. They would install another brother onto the throne, and it goes on, they switch brothers. So this went on, we are told, until about 1727, 26, 27, thereabouts, when most of the persons moved south, because the whole conflict was about profits from the trade in enslaved Africans, and which European power would control and dominate. So that was why you had the British and the Dutch perpetually at war. And it is felt that Chief Taki was the son of one of these brothers, because he was referred to as the young Taki. And during the conflict, he was captured, and this person was shipped.
Right. Just hold a point there, because some listeners are not sure what's happening. Just remind our listeners that we had a break. We lost Mr. Robert Montague, but Mr. Robert Montague is now back online, and he's now on air with us. I'm your friend, Vernon Darby. Continue, Mr. Montague.
Yes, sir. And the records show that this person should have been shipped to Suriname, but Jamaica was one of the first stops on the transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans. And leaders leaders will not have themselves subjugated to authority in the way that was established on these slave ships.
Right, right.
So, being of royal descent, he would have conducted himself differently, carried himself differently, and the respect that would have been given to him. So maybe that was why he actually was let off in Jamaica and never made it to Suriname.
Oh.
When he went to the frontier estate, the records show, the British history, their records show that this gentleman was appointed a headman, a manager, overseer on the frontier estate. And it is the only recorded bit of history of an African being an overseer on an English plantation in the New World. Because it was felt that because how he carried himself and conducted himself and how the others showed him respect, it felt that if they could control it, he in turn would control the enslaved Africans.
My
he
God.
was given a lot of privilege.
Right, right.
He got his own horse. He was allowed to carry a weapon, a whip, and he lived in different quarters. So he was quite privileged. So when he started his resistance movement and his war, it wasn't about him. It was about the general conditions that existed, and he wanted to establish a black-led government in Jamaica, not in St. Mary.
My God.
Jamaica.
Yes.
So when they would meet, and what is remarkable about this is that there is evidence that there was collaboration in Westmoreland, in Clarendon, in St. Catherine, in St. Anne. And for a time, as one speaker on Saturday said, he never had access to email or a cell phone.
Yes,
but yet, the information and the planning and the strategizing and was circulated.
Marcus Garvey, that's similar thing. I wonder how they do it. You wonder.
Exactly. So when you hear, just to think of the magnitude of that alone gives you pause to wonder. And so therefore, on the night of the 7th of April, 1760, he led a band up Rectory Street, up to Fort Aldane. They killed the guards that were on duty and captured the arms there, the musket, the bullet, gunpowder, and other provisions. Then they made their way to the beach on Pagy, where they took the magnets from the fishing net to be used as rounds in the musket. Then they proceeded up to Trinity, took the Trinity Estate, took Ballard's Valley Estate, and a number of other estates, freed the enslaved Africans. But at the time, because it was Easter, and a number of the whites were gathered on one estate, they were having their own celebration. And of course, there's always one who will run with the story. So
Things haven't changed.
Yes, it hasn't.
Yeah.
And the whites called the militia, the local militia.
Yes.
And the war started in earnest across the belt of central St. Mary going into southeast St. Mary. As a matter of fact, the whites, the local militia, also dispatched messages to Spanish Town, to the governor. And therefore, all the whites in St. Mary were gathered and transported to the Greencastle Estate, which is in the Robbins Bay area, and they were all housed there for safekeeping. And the governor actually sent a ship with provisions to look about the welfare of the white persons gathered on the Greencastle Estate. So they rounded up all the white persons in the parish. And they also activated the militia in Portland and in St. Anne to control the borders, in an effort to contain the war. And the governor called the council together, which would be now the cabinet.
Right.
And they issued a state of emergency, followed by martial law. And the 49th and 74th Regiment were dispatched to St. Mary along with 2 warships. One went into Anato Bay and one went into Port Maria. So this nonsense that is being taught sometimes in some history books that the Taki War lasted for 4 days, it absolutely couldn't be, because what I just outlined in historical records clearly show you that for the message to leave St. Mary to Spanish Town, for the governor to call his cabinet, for him to institute martial law, and for the army to respond.
Right.
Certainly will take longer than 4 days, even in today's Jamaica. Without
can you imagine you ride by a horse? How long the horse would take?
So the horses had to come up from Spanish Town through Devil's Racecourse up to Geisel. They came down through Decoy, because at the time, the Decoy property was held by some English persons. And they came down into the theater of war from that point.
Yes.
And the ships brought in provisions into Port Maria and into Nota Bay to treat with the troops that were coming in. Because Jamaica had a lot of troops stationed here because we were the richest, the most profitable, and the most influential British colony.
Because sugar was sweet at that time, eh?
Yes. So the British wanted to keep their interest and to protect their interest.
Right.
So they responded, some would say appropriately, and some would say it was overdone. They also activated the Maroon Treaty, where Maroons came up from a compound, from Stadtsaal, from Moortown. Some Maroons, the history records tell us, fought on the side of the British and some fought on the side of Tacky. And after the whole war was completed, the British enacted a series of legislative laws that spoke to getting back the amount of money they had spent and, restoring plantations that were damaged. And it was felt that over 100 whites lost their lives during the war, which was very, very, it stands out in history, because normally you don't have so many whites being taken out in a war.
Yet 1,500 being killed a year in Jamaica.
Yes. That is
continue. By the way, I'm getting messages from persons. They think you're just a little fly-by-night politician. I'm getting comments about, but the man know him stuff, man.
I will forgive those who have that thought.
Yes.
Pray for their welfare.
And it's coming from even overseas too. I'm getting more messages from overseas.
But all of this is documented in a number of academic papers. The latest one that was published on Saturday.
Yes.
Chief Tacky, The Breaker of Chains by Enoch Tacky, a descendant of Chief Tacky from Ghana. He came to St. Mary on Saturday last and launched that book. And also in the...
But you didn't say anything to me, Mr. Montague, but may you follow though, Say you have to say all that to me,
Also, Professor Vincent Brown of Harvard University published his book, Tacky's Revolt.
Right.
And he was in St. Mary on Saturday as well, giving the Tacky lecture.
Right.
On Saturday.
And I'm sure, you know what Tacky means in Jamaica, and there was nothing Tacky about it, right?
That is correct. Professor Vernon Shepherd of the University of the West Indies has a solid body of work.
My good friend.
Professor Orville Scott has a body of work. There are other works from Ghana and from other persons in the diaspora on Tacky. Because it is good that we have this body of academic work, because in 2007, when Prime Minister Golden activated the advisory committee under the National Awards Act, it was chaired then by Professor Rex
Nettleford, right.
And 3 names were considered: Honorable Louis Bennett,
Bob Marley,
Honorable Robert Nestor, and Chief Tacky.
Chief Tacky, right.
It was felt that enough was not known about Chief Tacky and his contribution, and therefore the committee recommended that a researcher be employed. Do more research on Chief Tacky. They did not turn down his request. They just said they needed more information. Well, today, there are so many academic papers on the role and the worth of this gentleman's contribution, because he has laid the foundation, and the motto for the national hero is that a city has been built with foundation.
Right.
And he has laid the foundation for the Maroon exploit for the Sam Sharp rebellion. It is on his shoulders Marcus Garvey would stand to shout for black unity and black economic empowerment. The self-governance movement of Bustamante and Norman Manley came out of the ideals that Chief Taki fought for. Indeed, after the war, the Taki War, and the British had these very, very draconian acts, they also took these acts, similar acts, into other colonies because they wanted to prevent another war. And one of the colonies they came to was in the Americas. And they enacted these very, very draconian laws in the 13 colonies to raise additional taxes and so that they could keep a larger army. And
keep it like black people, them quiet.
Yes. So that the 13 colonies in America, when they started their revolution,
the
influence, the shadow of the Taki rebellion, Taki War, extended into the Americas. And interestingly, research has shown that for years, for generations, as new enslaved Africans came into St. Mary and into Jamaica, they were told about this Taki War. They knew of it because years after there was an uprising in St. Anne. And it was to pattern what Taki had started, and it frightened the colonists at the time because they never realized that the oral history was still being passed on.
Very strong, yes.
If you go into Islington, for example, when this eunuch Taki came here in 2019, he went into Islington, and the oral history was being told to him because he came searching for descendants of Chief Taki.
I think we are losing that, So not what I expect for music and so on to pick up on that, but we are losing our oral history, And nothing can replace that. You could become modernized till judgment come. You'll become, as I say, modernized. Your oral history is very important. It can be very rich.
Very, very rich.
Yes. So and by the way, Mark, I'm going to go for a break now, and then, no wonder. So Jamaica has been very influential internationally from way back then, and then Marcus Garvey came along, and he made his presence.
Mr. Darby, you need to know that the Haitian Revolution, the ideals of the Haitian Revolution came straight out of the principles and ideals of Taki's War.
My God. All right, welcome back. You're listening to Rhythm FM, and of course our very special guest is Mr. Robert Montague, the Member of Parliament for St. Mary Western. And he's been giving us quite a bit of information today. Mr. I nearly call you minister, I hear some person talk about they want to go back to turn minister. I don't know why I'm trying to get you to politics, Mr. Montague. I don't know why,
Mr. Darby, I noticed that the amount of advertisement your program have, I need to come into radio broadcasting.
You say, can I get rid of trouble, But you see, if I get more support from persons like you and others, then I wouldn't have a problem. And let me tell you something about this program. You see, I'm going to take your time now. You know that this program is the only one of its kind in Jamaica. And I tell you something, even BBC recognized us some years ago, the type of program that I did, because I was on BBC about 2 years ago.
I think you do more ads than you have time for your guests.
All right. That's another matter. But you just make sure. I hope that your constituents are listening to you because, boy, you make so. By the way, I am not appointing you to be the Prime Minister. I would normally do that. Don't think that you're special. So we have about 3 minutes, sir, so you can speak to the nation on any issue you want to address.
Well, the issue that we are pushing, that my constituents have asked me to push, is the question of having Chief Taki being designated a national hero in Jamaica. And so that would be issue number one. And issue number two is that there are a number of communities in my constituency that are without a proper source of potable water. We are working with the National Water Commission as well as Rural Water Company to correct that. We have done some work with rural water in a number of communities, installing small solar powered pumps to get water. Famously, the one in Montreal up in the Canal area was stolen by persons who have ill intent.
Oh, boy.
God. And God bless Superintendent Bobbitt Simpson Morgan team in St. Mary. They were able to detain one person through very, very good police work. and they have identified 2 other suspects, and they are gathering evidence, statements, etc. But we also got the system replaced, so the community of Montreal now have back their water supply, although we are no big challenge because of the prolonged drought. There is water in the spring. And then there is pouring water up in Oxford at the
I tell you, only have about 30 seconds left, but we have to have you back,
Roads are a challenge as well as training. We are working with HART to reopen.
I tell you what, you only have about, you only have 1 second. So after that, just make your final point. You only have 1 second.
Well, we're trying to reopen the HART training centers that we had in the constituents that were closed by COVID, so that we can get our young persons up to speed and properly trained. So road, water, training. There are a number of communities without electricity, and we are attacking that through rural electrification and making Taki a hero. We are always supporting our tertiary students. We sponsor 125 tertiary students annually from my CDF, from the constituency, because I believe in education. We also
we have to go now, so we have to have you back to discuss that. Really was great talking to you.